Recently, Al Jazeera did an investigative report on drug use in professional sports. And during that documentary, which I highly recommend you guys watch, there was a portion dedicated to Peyton Manning allegedly accessing and taking human growth hormone. Now, we have that portion of the documentary for you. Let's take a quick look at that, and I'll give you more details.
Peyton Manning's career almost ended through injury in 2010 while playing for the Indianapolis Colts. Charlie Sly claims he was part of a medical team that helped Manning recover.
What's he like as a person, though, Peyton?
He's really cool. If you just sit down with him. The first time I met him was at Geyers. I was like, I really appreciate you guys working with me. It sounded real genuine.
The Geyer Institute in Indianapolis offers a range of genuine anti-aging treatments. We've confirmed Charlie Sly worked in their pharmacy in 2011. That was also the season Peyton Manning missed through injury.
I did part of my training at the Geyer Institute, which is like this anti-aging clinic in Indiana. Him and his wife would come in after hours to get IVs and So one thing that Geyer does is he dispenses drugs out of his office, which physicians can do in the United States. It's just not very many of them do it. And all the time we would be sending Ashley Manning drugs, like growth hormone, all the time, everywhere. Florida. It would never be under Peyton's name. It would always be under her name. We were sending it everywhere. Like, we would go to Florida.
Wow. Okay, so after that documentary aired, ESPN caught up with Peyton Manning, and he had a very emotional interview with them. And you guys should watch that as well. But essentially, he said that the documentary is completely fabricated.
I thought you were going to say completely fabulous.
No. He said that it's completely fabricated, complete trash garbage. And then he goes on about how, hey, you know what? My wife had an injury. That's the reason why the human growth hormone was sent to her. It had nothing to do with me. How dare you guys get my wife involved in this? He also said he attended the Geyer Institute in Indiana, where the pharmacist worked who allegedly was sending HGH to Manning's wife to recover from a neck injury. So he's saying, no, yeah, I did go to that place, but I only went there because I had a neck injury. Now remember, I read into Peyton Manning. I'm not into sports at all, but I know that he had caused irreparable damage to his body playing football, and he wanted to get back into the sport, but everyone thought, no, there's no chance. He is so injured, there's no way he's going to make a comeback. And then all of a sudden he made a comeback. And I read this great op-ed in the New York Times about how in the last 2 decades, NFL players are now all of a sudden 50, 60, 70 pounds bigger than they were before, right? Yes. And so it's not a big story when you find out that an NFL player is using human growth hormone. It's a big story when you find out that an NFL player isn't using it, which I think is interesting.
All right, so now let's keep it real. So people were feared that it was irreparable damage to his neck, and then all of a sudden it was repaired. And the sports reporters usually refer to that as like, oh, amazing recovery, you worked so hard. Yeah, I'm sure hard work has something to do with it, but it's not like you could work your neck really hard until it's fixed. Sometimes the miraculous recovery is not really a miracle, it's something else. So and they make it seem as if the guy has such good character that he willed his neck back into place.
I know, they look, that's what happens with the NFL, especially in the United States, right? We turn these players into heroes, and for a lot of people they are heroes, I get that. But I think the way the NFL is set up actually creates an incentive for them to take these drugs. I mean, look, there's an incentive regardless of what sport you're in. But compare professional baseball to professional football. Your contract is not guaranteed in the NFL. So if you're injured in any way, then you stand to lose millions upon millions of dollars. In baseball, which of course doping is also an issue, you have a guaranteed contract. So I feel like the stakes are higher in the NFL. Right?
No, I actually think so. Baseball gets a bad rap because so many of their top players got caught and it became public. I think the NFL isn't looking into it at all. They don't care. They don't want to know. Don't ask, don't tell. I've been saying this for a long time. Basically the point Anna just made. You tell me those offensive linemen and defensive linemen aren't on steroids. That they just magically became gigantic over the course of a generation. Yes, generations make a difference. Yes, I'm not surprised that this generation is larger than the last generation and generation before them. But this much larger? You look at those offensive linemen, tell me they're not all on steroids or some version of hormones. You're crazy. And the NFL just, oh, golly gee, I couldn't catch any of the linemen who are all clearly doping, let alone rest of the NFL. I mean, look at all the guys that are there. And so, secondly, it is, anybody who's watched CYT for a long time knows I can't stand Peyton Manning. But here, let's be fair to Peyton Manning. It's not just him. Everybody's reporting it as if he's the only one who did it. No, there's a long laundry list of athletes who went to the Geyer Institute and apparently, according to these allegations, this documentary took HGH, including baseball players, some of the top players. It's just nobody cares about baseball anymore, so that's why they're not covered as much. Anyway, and one of my favorite players of all time, James Harrison, legendary Pittsburgh Steeler. At least he's legendary in my mind. Yeah. And he is because of his, what he's done in the Super Bowl and stuff. I love the guy, but they didn't all go to the Geyer Institute to get holistic medicine.
Right.
Come on, who believes that? Please don't tell me you're naive enough to believe that they all went to go get massages and yoga at the Geyer Institute. No, all these professional athletes went there for a different reason. And then the whole trick about my wife, right? So let me read you Peyton Manning's quote on that. This is graphic 23. He says he's indignant as usual.
Yep.
Any medical treatments that my wife received, that's her business. That has nothing to do with me. Nothing that's been sent to her or that my wife has used here have I ever taken. Absolutely not. I have my treatments that I do. She may have hers, and that is her business. There's no connection between the two. Come on. You're telling me that you need, what would be really helpful to your neck injury is HGH. And look at that. Some HGH gets sent to your wife for a completely different reason, you assure us, that has nothing to do with you, and your neck gets a lot better. But you went to that same institute, but you just went to get massages and herbs. Come on. I don't know that there's a person naive enough in the country to believe that.